Hello, dear friend. Thank you for making time to watch this. I pray that the few thoughts that I'll share will find some use in your life, particularly as you look at taking increased responsibility to drive yourself and your life agenda forward. My name is Vincent, and it's a privilege for me to share this. Feel free to interact with me on the comment section, and if you find this useful, kindly like and subscribe so that we can keep sharing thoughts around here. I had a chat with a friend not too long ago, and one of the things that we our conversation revolved around was fear, and that she'd looked at certain aspects, and there were a lot of fear, and I think this is something that we all relate with. There's an investment that you've wanted to do, but you've been fearful. And rightfully so, there are certain people that you may have wanted to speak to on certain matters, but you have been fearful. Now, fear has two sides. It's got the bad side, and the bad side is that it can paralyze you so that you don't do anything and you don't move. And that perhaps is what we'll be sharing a few thoughts on how we can get around. But on the other hand, there's a good side of fear. The good side of fear is that because fear is an emotional response to uncertainty, to danger, then it's a warning sign. So it's something that is protective. So the two sides is that on one side, fear can be paralyzing. On another side, fear is protective. It protects you from making certain steps that would harm you. For example, that you don't run barefoot on a rough terrain, you'll be injured. I mean, fear of doing that will protect you. You don't go running on the road at night. I mean, the fear protects you from doing that when it's dark. So if you think about it that way, then the side of fear that protects you actually adds a lot of value to your own life. Now, what is useful for us to navigate is the fear that paralyzes us. You may have come across a story of the Israelites, and they have been on the desert, and now they're supposed to cross over, literally the last leg, so that they get into the promised land. However, the person who is charged with the responsibility of leading them is fearful. This is Joshua. And so he is encouraged by the Lord to be strong and courageous. And perhaps because that word of God is still real for you and I, it's a huge encouragement that you, in the face of fear, should be strong and courageous. But what are some things that you could practically do that could be useful for you to be able to navigate fear? One, find out what's the source of this fear. Is it because you have failed before? Is it because you feel that you're limited? Is it because there's a lot of uncertainty? And these are realities that you have to deal with. Yes, there's always a first time. Yes, when you fail, you can always pick yourself and do it again. Yes, you may be limited in capacity, but that then drives us to the second point of how we can deal with fear, particularly fear that is paralyzing. Yes, isolate the fear, but number two, seek support. Where can you get support? Chances are, when you look at your life story, you will realize that in the past, you must have been fearful, but you did something that occasioned you to take the steps and be victorious. Why is that useful? Many times, stories of victory for yourself and even for others are useful to be able to help you to be emboldened to take or to move forward. So that's a very good source of support. But also, chances are there are people around you, particularly people that are encouraging. I say that generally we have two types of people around us. There are people who inflate us, and then there are people who deflate us. The people who deflate us discourage us, but then there are people who encourage us, people who have an inflating effect on us. So chances are you have a few people around you that are an encouragement. Perhaps you could bounce off your fears, and chances are you find encouragement you'll find a challenge from them that would encourage you to be able to step forward. And that is a useful step. So first step, identify what is the source of my fear, and is it a real source or is it something that I'm just imagining, and be able to isolate that. Secondly is to be able to enlist support. But one of the greatest supports that you can enlist is the support of God. Joshua actually finds very great encouragement from the words that God mentions to him, that just like I was with Moses, I will be with you. So there will always be support that is available for you. Please seek it. Please enlist it. And the last step is to take action. Now, taking action is the difference maker. They say that if you have 5 birds on a tree and they are willing, or they're intending to jump off the tree, intentions are not enough. Thinking is not enough. You have to take action. A couple of thoughts that can help you to take action. One is that you need to be able to take small steps. In taking small steps, what will happen is that you will experience small victories. Now, as you experience small victories, you'll be emboldened to keep acting. And as you keep acting, you keep now experiencing greater and greater victories, and you'll be able to move on. And that is how even Joshua, that we referred to earlier, found himself acting. Because what happens is that, yes, there was a bigger assignment, but it was step by step. At this point, cross the river. At this point, take the stones as testimony. At this point, go and conquer this place, and so on and so forth. So you too have to take small steps towards your victory. There's an interesting analogy I found somewhere speaking about the lion, and it said that the lion is the king of the jungle, and yet it's not the strongest, it's not the smartest, it's not the fastest, but it takes action to be the king anyway. And so you and I, actually, in spite of any and every fear that we may have a challenge, have a chance to take steps to overcome our fear. And as we do so, we will be able to escape the fear and keep going. So 3 thoughts that I shared, particularly on the fear that is paralyzing. Isolate the source. Make sure that it's a real source. Number 2, enlist support. And there's always support available from people around you and from God. And finally, take small steps, and you will experience a victory over fear. Thank you for making time for this.